Now, we live in crazy ass times. How can you ask me, who do I believe in? Half of your mother believe in money, believe in the system that got you working 9 to 5 just for the next man to get rich off your work. Enter the holy halls, bow down on your knees and pray for them to find your worth of alone. Shit. And still we are addicted to fast cash, the feud and the booze. Another shooting in the school and it's been ruling the news. I've been losing my head, thinking of ways how to raise my people out of poverty, encourage the faith. I cannot carry on running up the hill to get smacked down by the same hands I used to feel on my back. How can we achieve peace when all that we see is greed? Coming from the top, no love for my deceased beats. Pitfalls, pale faces, I'm writing with the blood on my homies so they can never erase us. A soldier cannot die. We spoke the brain and we multiply. How could we try to change if we barely getting by? This fast life is taking a toll on our minds, criminal times. Niggas in search for the divine, dear Lord, can you guide the way? I can't see. Sometimes it's hard to believe. Feel me? Hold your head up. He is by your side. There's no need to cry. Lord, let me speak for the blind. I'm being given them sight in the system designed to last, but slowly killing our minds. Help me to navigate this maze. I'm feeling hopeless, sadly losing focus, alcoholic, so I dope. It's a rich man's world, ain't no need to ask why I slave away till we die. Let the preacher and your bride just wanna live my life. Free me from my burden, Lord, but call me home and it is my time. Till then I'll be hustling, running through the struggles and problems with nobody that I can trust. And we all go through pain, but turning all these tears if this monster's part is keeping us sane. I cannot blame a nigga taking this revenge for the dead homie, but not for a night that the line is gonna get lonely. Where did it begin? Let us coach the evil and finally bring peace to our people. Still here we are, clinging to our past life like we got the future. The sooner we realize we've been played, the less control that's in our rulers' hands. Lord, help them understand the power of unity. Niggas slaving in the pen, the rich get away with impunity. How can we fight over the crumbs on the shattered plate? Don't let all these motherfuckers cooks and mad at eight. Told me they don't really give a fuck about your pain. So let's strategize them through time these bitches pay. Nobody cries for us, so why should we shed a tear when we send them down to go cry? Make them save under the devil like we slaved away. Make them take the low road cause they paved the way. Gotta let my dog soul never give up hope in the low tide. Cause the luck enrich your brain with a close mind. How can you feel guilty for the things you did just to survive and to feed your kid? Dog, hold your head. There are times I've suffered shipwreck in my journey, in perils of robbers, in perils of false brethren, in perils of my own desire. Yet from these perils comes knowledge, only from within, make it truly shine. Amen.
What's up, everybody? This is your brother Guy 91 Jr. coming to you with another exclusive program. Just want to say welcome to those that's probably new to this channel. I want to give a big shout out to Anthony. Was good, my brother. How's everything? Welcome aboard. As you know, today's topic is 10 racist states. And the reason why I decided to talk about this because these are the states that these F.B.A.s or these fake indigenous, whatever they want to call themselves, because they neither indigenous, they neither Aboriginal, but we live in this the trans era now. Everybody want to be. They want to either change their sex, they want to change their identity. I know Black folks have an identity crisis. They want to be anything but African people, and that's, I guess they have their right, but it makes them look silly. So let's, for argument's sake, just say, we call them F.B.A.s. Yeah, the Indians, yes. Facts. The Pretendians. Now, the Pretendians, when you look at Pretendians, they show white people, trying to look like Native Indians. Europeans trying to look like Indians. Even the Indians are not original. And it's funny thing about it, the Indians are not not aboriginal to this continent. Really, they really travel from Asia, and they travel down to the United States. So this is the reason why if you look at people from India and the Indians or Indian Americans, whatever you want to call them, they look just like they came straight from India, and that's the reason why they call them that way. This is the reason why Columbus, when he saw these group of people, he thought that he was in India. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. He never said. Christopher Columbus never said he thought that he was in Africa. He said he thought that he was in India because he was trying to travel to Asia because that's where India is at. So for argument's sake, these are the F.B.A.s that Tariq, made up. I really don't know what an F.B.A. means. Even when I asked Tariq Nasheed, what is an F.B.A.? What is Foundation Black America? He didn't clarify what it is because it's something that he made up. You can't make up something because it's like a religion. It's like a ghost. It's not backing up anything. You have to have, if you're going to make up something, it has to come from a source or something that will back it up. What makes you F.B.A.? What makes you a foundation of Black America? You know what I'm saying? What makes you foundational? What is foundational? What is a Black American? And none of these cats can tell me what it is. I want your best scholars. Tariq Nasheed is not a scholar. So I want your best scholars to tell me what is F.B.A., what is Foundation Black America. So for argument's sake, these are pro-Black Americans, and they love this country. They say, oh, don't bother going to Africa, blah, blah, blah. And Africa is bad or whatever. And this is the best place. America is the cream of the crop. So I'm going to play you a video of the 10 most racist states that F.B.A.s don't talk about. They don't mention it. They don't say anything about it. And you're going to hear the guy going to say why Black people cannot either go to those states, or if they do go to those states, they isolated over there. They can't go nowhere. They have to stay in their little circle. And once they go outside of it, that's when they're gonna have problems with their white American counterparts. So let me play this video real quick. Let me see if I can look this up. I had it. I'm gonna play the audio because I don't want to avoid any type of copyright stuff. I'm just gonna play the audio. Give me 1 second here. I had that bad boy. Let me see right here. Oh, 1 second. Let's see if I can get this on mute. Okay, here we go. Let me I want you to listen to this, and I'll cut in if I hear something important. But I thought this was very interesting. I think this was something that the pretending F.B.A.s don't talk about. I wonder why. No thanks.
Moving to a new state is a big decision, but not all places offer the same opportunities and quality of life, especially for Black communities. In this eye-opening video, Virtual Travel by Brian breaks down 10 states Black people should avoid moving to, revealing the hidden challenges that many face, from discrimination and systemic inequalities to lack of community resources and cultural diversity. If you're considering relocation, you'll want to watch until the end to see which states made the list and why they might not be the best choice. Whether it's due to racial disparities, legal injustices, or economic disadvantages, understanding the realities can help you make an informed decision. You might be asking, where do these states stand when it comes to the Black experience in America? Well, keep watching to find out. Before we dive in, drop a comment below and let us know. Have you lived in a place where you felt unwelcome? Let's start a conversation. Hit that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more content on African American issues, Black migration trends, and the best places to live. Let's jump right in. Number 10, Idaho. Idaho, the land of potatoes, breathtaking mountains, and, well, let's just say, not the most welcoming place for Black folks. If you're thinking about moving here, you might want to think again, unless you enjoy being the only Black person in a 100-mile radius and having people stare at you like you just stepped off a UFO. Now, don't get me wrong, Idaho is gorgeous. Majestic landscapes, wide open spaces, and some of the best skiing you'll find in America. But let's be real, skiing isn't exactly at the top of the priority list when you're dealing with racial hostility. And in some parts of this state, the idea of diversity is choosing between russet and sweet potatoes. Northern Idaho, in particular, has a history, and not the good kind. It has been a well-known hotspot for white supremacist groups, especially in places like Coeur d'Alene and Hayden Lake, which once served as the headquarters for the Aryan nations. Now, you might be thinking, but that was years ago, right? Sure, but let's just say the ghost of that era is still lurking. Many Black residents report feeling like permanent outsiders, as if they've crashed a family reunion where nobody invited them. According to the US Census, Idaho is over 90% white, meaning finding black communities.
You heard what he said? Oh, yeah, that's true, Anthony. He said accepting the title of American means you co-sign the enslavement of Africans and the genocide of indigenous people, white settlers, colonization, colonism. My bad. Yes, that's true. But you heard what he said, though? He said in Idaho is 90% white. 90% white. So those 10% of black people that's probably living there is very small and very isolated. Idaho is 90% white, and they still practice this thing called white supremacy. The F.B.A.s don't talk about that. Why the pro-black Americans don't talk about Idaho? You claim that you love this country, but you can't even go to those states. Why is only 10%? That's a small. Why is only 10% black people there? You should be able. I think F.B.A. You should be able to go over there and see. You know, you say you're an American. You should be able to go over there. Go over there and live among your white brothers and sisters and try to live this American lifestyle, but you can't because you're not wanted in these states. You're not wanted. How are you going to claim something when you're not even wanted? You can't even go next. You guys you go to Idaho. No, I ain't going there. Why not? You live here. You love this country. You think the United States is the best thing. You should be able to go to Ohio or Idaho. Let me play that again. I'm gonna play this again because I want people to listen. I want people to really, really listen. This is not a game. This is real life.
Dive in, drop a comment below and let us know. Have you lived in a place where you felt unwelcome? Let's start a conversation. Hit that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more content on African American issues, Black migration trends, and the best places to live. Let's jump right in.
Are you ready to see your brand on TV? Your competitors will wish they had known about Vibe. With Vibe, you can launch.
Number 10, Idaho. Idaho, the land of potatoes, breathtaking mountains, and, well, let's just say, not the most welcoming place for Black folks. If you're thinking about moving here, you might want to think again, unless you enjoy being the only Black person in a 100-mile radius and having people stare at you like you just stepped off a UFO.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong, Idaho is gorgeous. Majestic landscapes, wide open spaces, and some of the best skiing you'll find in America. But let's be real, skiing isn't exactly at the top of the priority list when you're dealing with racial hostility. And in some parts of this state, the idea of diversity is choosing between russet and sweet potatoes. Northern Idaho, in particular, has a history, and not the good kind. It has been a well-known hotspot for white supremacist groups, especially in places like Coeur d'Alene and Hayden Lake, which once served as the headquarters for the Aryan nations. Now, you might be thinking, but that was years ago, right? Sure, but let's just say the ghost of that era is still lurking. Many Black residents report feeling like permanent outsiders, as if they've crashed a family reunion where nobody invited them. According to the US Census, Idaho is over 90% white, meaning
90%.
finding Black community spaces is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the haystack doesn't really want you there. And if you're looking for black barbershops, soul food spots, or any sort of cultural representation, yeah, good luck with that. You'll have better chances of finding Bigfoot out in the Boise National Forest. And let's not forget politics. Idaho leans hard conservative, and that often translates into policies that don't exactly scream inclusivity. Between strict voting laws, limited protections against racial discrimination, and an overall outsiders aren't welcome vibe, moving here might feel less like a fresh start and more like stepping into an episode of The Twilight Zone. So, unless you really, really love potatoes and don't mind side eyes at the grocery store, Idaho might not be the move. But hey,
did you hear that? Did you hear that? And like Anthony said, he said F.B.A. only criticized black immigrants and F.B.A. black people and non F.B.A. black people. They have no smoke for Europeans. They don't. They don't. If you're a non-FBA, if you claiming Pan-African, or if you coming from Africa, if you coming from the if you're African Caribbean, African Haitian, these FBAs have a lot of smoke, and that's all they talk about. But they cannot even go to these countries. Tariq Nasheed cannot go to Idaho. Just like the guy said, he said they will look at him side-eye. Like, why are you here? These are white controlled states. So when I hear silly negropeans, are we going to control Mississippi? You honestly think that these barbarians is going to let you control and let you bully them and let you punk them? It's not going to happen. You will get into a serious fight. And your ballot is not going to save you. Your votes is not going to save you. You're going to have to get physical. These people run and control. You're not going to go over there. You're not even going there to shop. They said it's hard to even find a black community over there. He said even good luck finding a soul food restaurant. This is United States that the FBAs don't talk about. He's going to mention Kentucky. He's going to mention Kentucky. Like, this is real. This is what the FBA is afraid to talk about. The black Americans, whatever they want to call themselves, they afraid to talk about the reality of these states. And he's going to save the best for last. This is deep. Where you at, FBAs? Where you at? Where's the Tariq Nasheed supporters? Where are you? Where you at? You got to explain this. Why you can't go to these states? You claim that you love America. You claim that you got your American flag and you got it on your shirt. You got it on your wall or whatever. But you cannot go to these. You can't even go to these states. You're not. These white folks will make you feel uncomfortable. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed. They're going to hold on. And you really think things are getting better. You really think because you was born here and your mother was born here, your parents was born here, your grandparents were, you think that you're special. White people will give you an illusion that things will give you a better. These are the masters. I remember, shout out to Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari came out with an excellent video called The Big Bluff. They are the masters of illusions. These are white folks, the Houdinis. They will give you this illusion that America is great and wonderful, things are getting better, and they will give you these these puppets. They would say, oh, look at Jay-Z. He made it. Look at Oprah. She made it. They would give you this illusions, but Oprah's not happy. Jay-Z is not happy. That's why you don't hear from him. He's in a closet. He's in a box somewhere. He can't even speak his mind like he wants to. Because Jay-Z's being controlled. He's being controlled. Let's listen to some more. So that's audio that F.B.A.s don't talk about, that they don't want to live there. They want to talk about what's going on in Africa, that they never been, and they living in good old America, and they're afraid to go to these states. They're afraid to go to these states. Unbelievable. Let's listen to some more.
Hey, if you do decide to take the plunge, at least you'll never have to worry about long lines at the black hair care aisle, because there probably won't be one. Number 9, North Dakota. North Dakota, a place where winter lasts longer than most relationships, and black folks are about as common as palm trees. If you're looking for a fresh start in a welcoming, diverse community, let me save you some time. North Dakota ain't it. First, let's address the obvious. This state is cold, and I don't mean grab a sweater cold. I mean, why do my eyelashes have icicles? Cold. Temperatures can drop below -40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the same level of warmth you can expect from some of the locals when you show up as one of the
we already know black people don't like the cold.
few black residents in the state. Speaking of which, North Dakota is nearly 90% white, with a black population of less than 4%. And let's be real, when you're that much of
Again, another state that is 90% white. 90% white. And they say only 4% is black people. How come the F.B.A.s don't talk about this? Where you at, F.B.A.s? Where are you? Where are the foundation of Black American right now? You got to explain this to me. How come you don't want to go to these states? These are your white brethrens and your white sisterins. Why you don't want to go to these states? Are these states is too racist for you? But then you want to get on other black people. You want to get on other black folks. You want to continue talking about Pan-Africans and people in Africa who hasn't done nothing to you. The black immigrants, whatever that is, you want to continue talking about them. Black people is not your problem. You claim that you live in a country that you was born in, and you don't even want to go to those states. Why? Why? They can never answer that question. They can never answer that question. So you want to stay in your little diverse state like California, New York, any states that's like kind of diverse. So you're comfortable and you think that's all United States. These idiots think that's all United States. That's not all United States. Most of these states are pure white, run by white people and controlled by white people. And if you think because you claim that you Foundation American and you think you can walk up in these states, you're going to get the big surprise. Yo, these people are clowns, B. Listen to some more. I love it. I love it.
of a minority, you tend to stand out. But not in a, wow, you're so interesting, tell me your story way. More like a, what are you doing here way. Many black people who've moved here report feeling like uninvited guests at a party where nobody's making eye contact. And it's not just about being the only black face in the room, it's about how you're treated. Reports of racial slurs, discrimination, and just an overall unwelcoming vibe aren't uncommon. Ever been somewhere where people stare at you a little too long, like they're trying to figure out if you got lost? Yeah, that's North Dakota.
Mm.
Now, if you're thinking, but maybe the job market makes up for it, well, not really. Sure, there's an oil boom, but unless you want to work in a field where diversity is a warm winter day, you might be out of luck. And forget about finding black-owned businesses, barbershops, or even a decent plate of some seasoning from Amazon, because North Dakota cuisine is as bland as the social scene for Black
Mm.
folks. So unless you love frigid temperatures, cultural isolation, and a serious lack of community, North Dakota probably isn't the move. But hey, if you ever do visit, bring your own hot sauce and maybe a heated blanket. Number 8, West Virginia. West Virginia, a state famous for coal mines, country roads, and, well, not exactly rolling out.
Well, okay, that's North. He said North Dakota. That's North Dakota. Now she broke that down. F.B.A.s, for some reason, you don't want to go there. Now he's talking about West Virginia. Now we know about West Virginia. All F.B.A.s, you F.B.A.s, negropeans, you should know about West Virginia. You already know that that's what all the enslaved Africans went there before they got auctioned. We all should know about West Virginia. And West Virginia is still racist. But FBAs don't want to talk about that. Why? FBAs don't want to talk about West Virginia. Where you at, FBAs? Where are you? Where are you? Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Trying to get this thing. Okay. Let me go back to my thing. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let's continue. He's talking about West Virginia now that FBAs don't want to go to, or they don't want to talk about.
The welcome mat for Black folks. If you're considering moving here, let's just say you might want to reconsider. Unless your idea of diversity is choosing between regular and extra crispy fried chicken at the one gas station that doubles as a restaurant. First things first, West Virginia is overwhelmingly white. I'm talking about over 90% white.
Another 90%.
If you're looking for cultural diversity, good luck.
So I said to him, "No, Nigel, not without the brie."
Indubitably.
You'll have a better chance of spotting Bigfoot and, well, not exactly rolling out the welcome mat for Black folks. If you're considering moving here, let's just say you might want to reconsider. Unless your idea of diversity is choosing between regular and extra crispy fried chicken at the one gas station that doubles as a restaurant. First things first, West Virginia is overwhelmingly white. I'm talking about over 90% white. If you're looking for cultural diversity, good luck. You'll have a better chance of spotting Bigfoot than finding a Black community that feels like home.
Wow.
It's the kind of place where being Black automatically makes you a local celebrity, but not the good kind. More like, what's a Black person doing here? And let's talk economic opportunities, or rather, the lack thereof. West Virginia ranks among the worst states for jobs, especially for Black professionals. If you're looking to climb the corporate ladder, you might find yourself stuck on the first rung, wondering why no one handed you the rest of the steps. The job market here is heavily reliant on coal mining and manual labor, and unless you're bringing a pickaxe and a strong back, you might find yourself struggling to find meaningful employment. But the biggest issue? The unwelcoming vibe. There's a deep-rooted history of racism in this state, and while every place has its issues, West Virginia seems stuck in a time warp. Reports of racial hostility, discrimination, and a general lack of inclusivity make it one of those states where you just know you're not exactly being embraced with open arms. And let's be real, if you can't find a Black barber shop, soul food spot, or even a church where folks don't look at you sideways, is it really home? So unless you love mountains, coal dust, and being the only Black person for miles, West Virginia might not be the move. But hey, if you do end up here, at least you'll always have a great view and plenty of country music.
Wow. FBAs, why you don't go to West Virginia? Why the FBA's don't want to? They said this is another 90% white. Why is the FBA's, you know who you are, the ones that have something to say about Africa, you don't like Pan-Africans, I'm talking about you folks. Why you can't go to these states? These states are truly racist. They don't want you here. It sounds like to me, you like them, but they don't like you. They don't even make you, they like the guy said, they won't even make you feel like you're an American. So it doesn't matter if you're born here and you could claim indigenous, you could claim all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you will never be an American. All these states, this guy mentioned, it should be diverse. It should be diversity. It should not be no racism. It should not be, you should be able to go there, set up shop, and feel like you're at home. And then I can see you say, hey, America is beautiful, it's wonderful. Then I can see the F.B.A. saying, hey, this is, America is home for black people. But none of these F.B.A.s, Tariq Nasheed can't say that. None of these people cannot say that. That's why they don't mention these states. But you want to mention Africa. You want to mention what's going on in Africa, a place that you've never been. And I'm not saying Africa don't have their issues, but that's because of the colonizers. That's because of you got these sellout leaders over there don't have no balls to say, hey, no, you're not coming over here and setting up shop. If you're gonna come, you're gonna be paying some high taxes. And we should be able to do what we want to you. That's what they should say. So that's because of the corruption, and if they allowing all these type of weirdo white folks coming in there in Africa, and some of these countries is a hot mess, disgusting. But you got there's this racial demonic racial tension in the United States that FBAs don't want to talk about. They run away from it. Then when you bring it up, they try to avoid it. They try to avoid the questions. I don't understand. But let's continue. Now he just talked about West Virginia.
Number 7, Missouri. Missouri, a state that just can't seem to shake its history of racial tension, no matter how many times it tries to rebrand itself. If you're thinking about moving here, let me ask you this. Do you enjoy high crime rates, questionable policing, and feeling like you stepped into a never-ending episode of America's Racial Injustice Special? If not, Missouri might not be for you. Let's start with the obvious. Ferguson. If you don't know about the protests that erupted after the police killing of Michael Brown in 2014, you might want to do a quick Google search. That tragic event didn't just expose Missouri's deep racial inequalities, it shouted them from the rooftops. The state's justice system has a well-documented history of over-policing black communities while somehow ignoring crime in areas that should be getting more attention. And speaking of crime, St. Louis has one of the highest crime rates in the entire country. It's consistently ranked among the most dangerous cities in America. And let's just say, if you value your safety, you might want to think twice before settling down here. But wait, before you say, well, maybe I'll just move somewhere else in Missouri, let's talk about the rest of the state. Outside of St. Louis and Kansas City, Missouri is basically a giant rural landscape where diversity is about as common as a black-owned barbershop in a cornfield. In other words, it's not exactly the most inviting place for black folks. And if you think racial profiling is just a big city issue, think again. Missouri law enforcement has been called out repeatedly for disproportionately stopping and arresting black drivers.
Mm.
Let's not forget the politics. Missouri leans heavily conservative, and while that's not automatically a red flag, it does mean policies that impact black communities often get ignored, dismissed, or outright denied. Public schools, underfunded.
Mm.
Affordable housing, good luck. Community resources, hope you like driving across state lines to find them. So unless you enjoy racial tension, overzealous policing, and a state that feels like it's stuck in the 1950s, Missouri might not be your best bet. But hey, at least the barbecue is good, right? Number 6. Kentucky. All right, let's
Now, there's some people that I know that are living in Missouri. I'm not going to mention that person's name, but I know he don't these F.B.As. There's some F.B.As that live in Missouri. They live in St. Louis, and we know that there's poverty there. He said the schools are being underfunded. This is facts. This is facts. There was a St. Louis riot. Let me see. What was it? St. Louis? I think it was a riot back in the day. A lot of black people got killed. Let me see. What was that? I think it was. What was that one? Yes. It was the St. Louis massacre in 1970. It was the St. Louis massacre where white people started killing black folks. See, these are the things that they don't want to talk about. That's what I'm saying. These states are deep-rooted, white supremacist controlled. It still exists. The KKK is still around. Now the KKK don't even wear hoods no more. They become police officers. They became your doctors. They became the doctors, police officers, lawyers, prosecutors, judges. This is what they get into now. They don't have to wear the hoods and all that. They got into government. Ain't nothing changed. So I want these F.B.A. to let me know what makes you think yes. Well, let me put this one comment up. He said, Anthony said, God Nollywood, the irony is West Virginia State University, the HBCU is now predominantly white. Wow. Hey, F.B.A.s don't talk about that. They too ashamed. They too embarrassed. There's people that live in Missouri that they know they face racism. There's a reason why they stay in the house and make YouTube videos. They don't even go out the house like that. I know one person, not going to mention that person's name, he lives in Missouri, and he stays in the house. He's scared. And he lives among white folks. One of the white neighbors wanted to whip his ass. And I talked about that in my lives. Yes. East St. Louis, 1917, the St. Louis Massacre. The F.B.A.s don't talk about that, man. They don't talk about it. They run away from real history. They weren't about stuff in another continent somewhere that they would never go to. And they only taking what somebody else say and say, see, Africa is bad. You don't want to go there. This is the greatest country. United States is the greatest country in the world. And that's propaganda. That's propaganda. F.B.A.s give you this illusion. They give you this propaganda that United States is the greatest place in the world, and they don't even want to go to those states. And don't get me wrong, those states that he mentioned, it looks very nice. Like he said, the mountains, and you want to go to the woods, and the woods, mountains, it's a very beautiful place. But you're not wanted there. Black people are not wanted there. And you can be pro-Black American, but you're not wanted there. That's crazy. And these are the F.B.A.s. They don't talk about that. So don't get confused about, you hear about Nelly and Nelly, he bigging up St. Louis or whatever, and St. Louis is the place. No, it's very racist in St. Louis. He talked about George Floyd. He talked about George Floyd. We see what happened to George Floyd, how that cop had his knee on that man's face. You can't get no ruthless than that. But the F.B.A., the Foundation of Black America, don't talk about it. Where you at, F.B.A.s? Where are you at? Because you got to explain this to me like a 2-year-old. Anthony, the F.B.A.s are running now. They're running. They won't be able to answer. They won't be able to question this. He said, my home state is Louisiana, is home of the KKK headquarters. And Denham Springs, Louisiana. See? He said Louisiana is the home of the Ku Klux Klan. Little states, it's still run by Klansmen. There's still racial tension. And some states, like the guy mentioned earlier, it's even worse. The thing is, Anthony, that you got these F.B.A.s because they live in diversity states, and they really believe that's all United States. That's not true. And even the states that they're living in, they don't talk about the issues. They don't talk about the poor education systems, the poor health care, the housing crisis. They don't talk about that. Yeah, your state might be diverse, but there's other racial things that goes into it, components that Black people have to deal with on an everyday basis. Let's continue.
Let's talk about Kentucky.
Now, this is Kentucky now. He's talking about Kentucky.
You might know it for bourbon, bluegrass, and basketball, but if you're Black and thinking about moving here, you should probably know it for something else: racial profiling, police brutality, and systemic discrimination. Yeah.
That's commercial.
Make your browser fast. Make your browser safe.
How about the commercial?
Make
Yeah, Kentucky is the kind of place where you can get a world-class plate of fried chicken, but still get side-eyed just for existing. First, let's start with the elephant in the room: the 2020 killing of Breonna Taylor. Her tragic death at the hands of Louisville police put a national spotlight on Kentucky's deep-rooted issues with law enforcement and racial injustice. And while the protests that followed forced some tough conversations, let's be real, meaningful change is moving at the speed of molasses in January.
Oh.
But it's not just Louisville. Racial profiling is a statewide sport here, with Black drivers being disproportionately stopped and searched. And don't even think about standing around minding your own business in certain areas. You might as well wear a sign that says suspicious activity because the cops might treat you like a walking crime scene.
Wow.
Then there's the political landscape. Kentucky leans hard conservative, which means policies that actually help Black communities tend to get buried under the weight of small government rhetoric. Public schools? Severely underfunded.
Mm.
Affordable housing? Limited. Job opportunities for Black professionals? Slim pickings. Basically, if you're looking for a place that supports racial progress, Kentucky is still trying to find the map. And let's not forget the racial demographics. Kentucky is about 85% white, and in some parts, seeing another Black person might feel like spotting a rare bird in the wild.
Wow.
That's not to say there aren't Black communities here. There definitely are. But depending on where you live, you might feel like the only drop of melanin in a sea of mayonnaise. So, unless you really love horse racing, bourbon, and being uncomfortably aware of how different you are in certain spaces, Kentucky might not be the move. But hey, at least you'll never have to wait in line at the Black barbershop, because there probably isn't one nearby.
Oh, God.
All right, if you're still with me, that means you're finding this eye-opening, or at least entertaining. But let me ask you, have you ever lived in a place where you felt completely out of place? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown, go ahead and hit that like button so more people can see this.
Now hit that like
And
button.
don't forget to subscribe, because, trust me, we've got a lot more to uncover. Number 5. South Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina, a state that looks beautiful on the surface.
Who do y'all know in South Carolina? South Carolina. Now he talk about Kentucky where Breonna Taylor got murdered. That should be a wake-up call, right? But the F.B.A.s, the Foundation of Black Americans, don't talk about it. Ain't nothing changed. They don't talk about it. Where is the Foundation of Black Americans? Why they running now? Don't run. You're going to have to explain this to me. Since you love America so much, you can't. And he said even Kentucky is 80%. What? He said 80% white. That's a large number of white folks. He said, well, we're not. He said, well, he said, we're not saying there's no Black communities on there, but it's like, but he said it depends where you're located at. These Black people that have these little small neighborhoods or whatever, usually it's impoverished areas, and they're very isolated. They're very isolated. Where you be driving, you already know, okay, yeah, this is Black folks living there because it's so ghetto. It's so trashy. It's already grained to your head. It's already grained to your head. Ghetto and Black people, poverty. It's already grained to your head. So when you drive in, when you drive in a nice, beautiful neighborhood, you automatically think, oh, white people live here. But the F.B.A.s, they're comfortable living like that. F.B.A.s are comfortable living in a ghetto, in a slum, but they're just proud to be born in the United States. And you hear this guy, there's no opportunities. There's no opportunities. There's no justice and equality. You hear the guy saying it. It's crazy. Let's continue.
But if you scratch just a little bit, you'll find a whole lot of racial baggage. If you're Black and thinking about moving here, just know that while the beaches might be nice, the vibes might not be. First off, history is everywhere here. And not in a wow, this is fascinating kind of way, but more like a wow, they still fly Confederate flags kind of way. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union. And let's just say some folks here still haven't fully gotten over the outcome of the Civil War. Drive through certain parts of the state, and you might think you've traveled back in time, except instead of Downton Abbey, it's more like unfinished Reconstruction era.
Wow.
The sequel. Now let's talk about housing, education, and jobs. or rather, how black folks tend to get the short end of the stick in all three. South Carolina has some of the worst racial disparities in homeownership, with black families facing higher loan denials and lower property values. Schools? Underfunded, especially in predominantly black areas. Job opportunities? Let's just say if you're black, your career options might feel like an old Blockbuster rental. Limited and outdated. And let's not ignore the racial rhetoric that still lingers here. Confederate monuments? Plenty. Thinly veiled racism in politics? Oh, absolutely. Some parts of South Carolina have a very particular energy, like when you walk into a room and suddenly feel like you shouldn't be there. The whole state isn't bad, of course. Charleston has some solid black history and culture. But step outside the city, and you might start hearing the phrase, heritage, not hate, a little too often for comfort. So unless you enjoy navigating racial inequality, dodging Confederate bumper stickers, and wondering why your neighborhood's school hasn't been updated since The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on TV, South Carolina might not be the move. But hey, at least the food is good. Just don't be surprised if the welcome isn't as warm as the cornbread. Number
See this property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month? Well, it's been sitting empty for the last 28 days, and there's
Arkansas.
Okay, now he's talking about Arkansas. Now he's talking about Arkansas. That's what Earthman is saying. He said the headquarters of KKK in Harrison, Arkansas. So that's what he's talking about Arkansas. See, this is F.B.A.'s don't talk about this, man. Let's get into it.
Arkansas, a state where the landscapes are beautiful, but the racial history, not so much. If you're black and considering a move here, you might want to think twice, unless of course you enjoy feeling like an uninvited guest at a very uncomfortable family reunion. First off, Arkansas has a long, ugly history of racial violence. Remember the Little Rock Nine? Yeah, that wasn't some distant past situation. It was 1957. Then, let's just say some parts of Arkansas still hold on to the good old days a little too tightly. And if you're thinking, well, maybe things have changed, let's talk about economic mobility, or in Arkansas's case, the lack of it. This state ranks among the worst for black professionals trying to climb the economic ladder. The job market is about as promising as a blockbuster comeback, and if you're looking for a thriving black business scene, let's just say, don't hold your breath. If opportunity were a bus, Arkansas would be running about 3 hours late, if it shows up at all. Now let's address the unwelcoming vibe. Some areas in Arkansas still feel stuck in time, where seeing a black person moving into the neighborhood gets the same reaction as a UFO sighting. It's the kind of place where stares linger too long, small talk feels forced, and "you're not from around here, are you?" is less of a question and more of a warning. And before you say, well, maybe I'll stick to the cities. Sure, Little Rock and a few other spots have a bit more diversity, but outside of those, good luck finding community spaces, black-owned businesses, or even a decent barber. You might have to road trip to another state just to get a proper fade. So unless you love outdated racial attitudes, limited job opportunities, and feeling like an accidental time traveler, Arkansas might not be the move. But hey, at least the Walmart headquarters is here, so you'll never be too far from a rollback special. Number 3, Louisiana. Let's be real, Louisiana is fun. If you're looking for a place to eat amazing food, party in the streets, and soak up some of the richest black culture in America, New Orleans is that girl. But if you're thinking about actually living here, especially as a black person, you might want to pump the brakes, because behind all that jazz and gumbo is a whole lot of struggle. First, let's talk about incarceration. Louisiana has the highest incarceration rate in the entire country. And surprise, surprise, black people are disproportionately locked up. It's almost like the system is designed that way. If mass incarceration were a competitive sport, Louisiana would be an Olympic gold medalist. And let's not forget the stories of horrible prison conditions, making this one of the worst places to get caught up in the system. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but what if I just mind my business and stay out of trouble? That's a great plan. But unfortunately, police discrimination is still a huge issue here. Even in cities like New Orleans, where Black culture is everywhere, racial profiling and police brutality remain serious problems. And if you're driving while Black, let's just say you might get pulled over just because your car was moving suspiciously. And then there's the economic situation. Sure, New Orleans is vibrant, but it's also one of the most economically unequal cities in the US. The cost of living keeps creeping up, but wages? Not so much. Outside of NOLA, job opportunities for Black professionals are about as rare as a bowl of unseasoned gumbo. They just don't exist like they should. And don't even get me started on hurricane season. Louisiana's infrastructure is questionable at best, and Black communities tend to get hit the hardest when disaster strikes. If you thought FEMA's response to Hurricane Katrina was a one-time failure, think again. Let's just say if you move here, you better have an escape plan. So, unless you enjoy economic struggle, unfair policing, and dodging hurricanes like it's a sport, Louisiana might not be the best place to settle down. But
I would never go there.
Jermaine struggled for years with dental
What about
issues
the
before
commercial?
finally finding Nuvia. Listen to what he wanted most after his smile makeover.
Yeah, so I still got some. Well, I think he got 2 more to go. I think. Let's see. He says he got Abafumi Custer is located in Pittsburgh. Okay. He's out from Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, but yeah, it's like I said, the racism, that hardcore racial tension in these states it will never go away. So I don't know what these F.B.A.s are talking about, where they keep bragging about how great United States is and this is the best country in the world, and they can't even go outside their house. Like they're afraid to go out. They're afraid to travel. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid to come out their house. They can't even go downtown. They can't even walk through a white neighborhood without being stopped. You hear these states. You mentioned a few states, either they 80%, 90% white. And you stick out like a thumb if you walk in those, and if you go through those states. See, this is the thing that Tariq Nasheed and what's his name? What's that other fat dude name? What's his oh shit, what's his name? Conway? What's his name? Dan Conway, whatever his name is. Conway, whatever his name is. These are the pro-Black pretendians, F.B.A., whatever they want to call themselves. They don't talk about these states because all these states are part of the United States. They're part of the United States. So you can't use your small town or your small little neighborhood and you thinking that's all United States. That's not all United States. That's not all United States. And this is the reason why they don't want to face the truth. These FBAs are so in denial, man. They are so denial, man. It's not even funny. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. Like I know if I go to these states, it's got to be in and out. I'm just visiting and I'm out of there. I'm not staying there. I have no plans living in Louisiana. I have no plans of living in these it depends. I would have to really do my homework if I'm planning on, yes, Dan Calloway, that's his name. Dan, thank you, Anthony. Dan Calloway. I got to really, really do my research. If I was going to move outside my state, I got to really, really do my research and to really, really see if is that state is livable. It will stain African life, so to speak. It would have to really get down to that point. But it seemed like to me, no matter where you go in the United States, rather the state is diverse, rather if it's maybe a little more black folks, or maybe it's just damn near almost white. Black people still have a disadvantage. They have a disadvantage. Because you can have, look at Valdosta, Georgia. And I remember I mentioned this before, Valdosta, Georgia. That all these white people that's in these states or in these towns, that are white people control the institutions. Yeah, it might be more black people that's might be living there. But then you got to look at who's in full control of the institutions. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live where if I got to go see my doctor, I got to go see a doctor that don't look like me. I got to go to school. Be educated by a person who don't look like me. Even when it comes down to law enforcement. The captain, the mayor, all these black folks don't look like you. 90%, even in New York. Even in New York, especially when Mayor Giuliani was in office, only 90% of police officers were white people. And it's still like that. 90% of police officers, even in New York, are damn near white. That's crazy to me. Ain't nothing changed. But these F.B.As, they run from the real truth. They run from the real truth. And because they get a little biscuits here and there, and a little government cheese or whatever, or they happy. They happy. This is the best. This is the best country in the world. Wow.
But hey, at least you'll eat really well while considering your exit strategy. Number 2, Alabama. Alabama, a state that claims sweet home Alabama. But if you're black, that sweetness comes with a bitter aftertaste. If you're thinking about moving here, just know that while the barbecue is top tier, the racial tension is still stuck somewhere around 1963. Let's start with voting rights, or should I say, the lack of them. Alabama has some of the strictest voter suppression laws in the country.
Wow.
And guess who they disproportionately affect? Yup, black communities. It's almost
they really talk about, Anthony, check this out. They're really talking about F.B.A. communities. They're being disproportionate. F.B.A. communities. The F.B.A. communities are being disproportionate, but the F.B.A.s don't want to talk about it. And you notice in certain these southern countries, he keeps saying the food is good. The food is excellent. You want some southern food? Yeah, you got that. That's the only thing that's going to come out of it is good food, good eating, and good drinking, and that's it. That's the only thing you're good for. But other than that, when it comes down of the political system and economic system, black people are still being disproportionate. This is something that F.B.As, the pro-black Americans, whatever they want to call themselves, they don't talk about it. Someone get Tariq Nasheed to come on this panel because he will have to explain this to me. I want Tariq Nasheed to explain this to me. Matter of fact, I'm going to forward this to Tariq Nasheed. So maybe he can explain to me why the Foundation of Black Americans are still being disproportionate and still not being treated fairly in the country that he loves so much. I would like to hear him speak on that. That's all. I just like to hear him speak on that because he has to explain that to me. Or maybe Dan Calloway. Maybe his fat ass could come over here and explain to me why America is so great for black people. Why Africa is bad and why America is for black people. Maybe he could send his big fat round Humpty Dumpty ass to come over here, his nutty professor looking ass to come over here to tell me why America, United States, is so great and wonderful, and black people, this is the home for black people. Why the United States is the motherland for black folks. Maybe he need to tell me that. I would like to hear him speak on that because according to history and according to what's going on today, it says otherwise. That's all I'm saying. And the guy who's speaking, he's not lying. They've been saying this stuff for years. He's not lying about this stuff. But the F.B.A. want to give you this propaganda crap. Let's continue.
Almost like they took a look at the civil rights movement and said, let's just find new ways to make it harder for black folks to have a say. From restrictive voter ID laws to felony around 1963. Really well while considering your exit strategy. Number 2, Alabama. Alabama, a state that claims sweet home Alabama. But if you're black, that sweetness comes with a bitter aftertaste. If you're thinking about moving here, just know that while the barbecue is top tier, the racial tension is still stuck somewhere around 1963. Let's start with voting rights, or should I say, the lack of them.
Wow.
Alabama has some of the strictest voter suppression laws in the country, and guess who they disproportionately affect? Yup, black communities.
F.B.A.'s.
It's almost like they took a look at the civil rights movement and said, let's just find new ways to make it harder for black folks to have a say. From restrictive voter ID laws to felony disenfranchisement, Alabama works overtime to make sure black voices don't count as much as they should. Now let's talk law enforcement, or as some might call it, Southern hospitality, with handcuffs. Black residents here are more likely to be stopped, searched, and arrested than their white counterparts. And let's not forget the racial disparities in sentencing, because if there's one thing Alabama is consistent about, it's making sure the justice system is not just. And while we're on the subject of systemic racism, let's not ignore the everyday struggles. Redlining, still leaving its mark. Job discrimination, alive and well. Confederate flags, you'll see them flying proudly in places that should have taken them down decades ago. In fact, some areas of Alabama still feel like they're auditioning for a prequel to Mississippi Burning. If you're black and thinking, well, maybe I'll just move to a bigger city like Birmingham or Montgomery, sure, you might find more black culture there, but you're still dealing with the same state policies that make life harder for black folks. And let's not forget education and healthcare, which rank among the worst in the country because nothing says, welcome home. Like underfunded schools and hospitals that make you question every diagnosis. So unless you enjoy jumping through hoops just to vote, navigating racial tension like an obstacle course, and explaining why Confederate nostalgia is not a personality trait, Alabama might not be the move. But hey, at least the cornbread is amazing. Just don't expect the community to always be as warm as the biscuits.
Oh, shit.
Number 1, Mississippi.
We're going to save the best for last. Good old Mississippi. Remember, I had these clowns and they was talking about they want black people to go back to Mississippi and pack your bags and let's go to Mississippi. And let's control this state. And we can make this impoverished state and make it a utopia for black folks. I said, how are we going to do that? create this big old pipe dream. One of them pretended he was out there, didn't do anything, and now he don't talk about it no one. These are Moorish B-Rabs that's looking for some sort of sovereignty that they got from good old Farrakhan, because Farrakhan had gave this speech in Mississippi, in Jacksonville. I think he was in Jacksonville, and he said, "Oh, ain't there's more black people than y'all? Y'all should be able to control it." So these other silly B-Rabs, they took it and ran with it. And so now I'm like, well, how are you going to do it? Well, we need to let the people know that live in Mississippi, they can control the state. And da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, what's the numbers like? What is the numbers like? Is it more white people in Mississippi? Or is it more black people in Mississippi? But if it's more black people in Mississippi, then who's controlling the institutions? And I don't think, and we already know white people is not going to let go of power like that. That's not going to happen. So he's going to talk about Mississippi. Good old Mississippi. So let's see what he says about Mississippi.
If there's one state that just refuses to move on from the good old days, and by that, I mean the bad old days for black folks, it's Mississippi. If you're black and considering moving here, let me save you the trouble. Don't, unless you enjoy racial disparities.
Hey, you heard what he said? You heard he said, if you planning on moving here, you heard he said? He said, if you plan on moving to Mississippi, don't. Don't go to Mississippi. I'm telling you, don't go to Mississippi, y'all. Don't get into the pipe dream propaganda, y'all. Do not get into the propaganda pipe dreams. If you hear somebody talking about some Mississippi campaign or Mississippi campaign, don't support it. Don't support it. It's a scam. It's a pipe dream. It's everything. It's everything. He said that's Bakari's home state. Hey, Brother Bakari, know that Mississippi is not the place. That's not the. I wouldn't live in Mississippi. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Now, there was a small town called Mount Bayou, Mississippi, and black people have controlled that. But unfortunately, Mount Bayou was isolated. That was an isolated town. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would support that if black people said, well, we're gonna take Mount Bayou and we're gonna build it up. I'll be for that. But it would have to be where black people is gonna be like, okay, we're gonna take this small town and then we're going to make sure we're gonna have our own doctors, our own lawyers. We're gonna, but they have to get away from the policies and the regulations from the rest of Mississippi. They'll have to create their own laws and regulations in Mount Bayou. But of course, that cannot happen. That cannot happen. But if you plan on going to Mississippi, because Brother Bakar is not in Mississippi. He's not in Mississippi. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. So, hey, there's a reason why people leave it. There's a reason why black people live in Mississippi. There's a reason why got Ari coming on Shoot the Breeze tonight. What is that? What is Shoot the Breeze? Yeah, so the guy said, don't go to Mississippi. If you plan on it, that's why a lot of black people are leaving there. Because it's still hold on to those roots, those southern, white southern roots. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Thank you. Yo, what is Shoot the Breeze? I mean, send me the link. and I'll check it out. Are you coming on Shoot the Breeze? I'll come on there after I do this live. But yeah, so Mississippi is not the place to go. It's not the place to live. So when you hear people say, "Oh, you know, we're going to control Mississippi," trust me, I've been trying to explain to these idiots that Mississippi is not the place. And even you hear this guy, if you plan on going to Mississippi, don't come. Don't even bother. That's why a lot of black people are now leaving Mississippi, because there's no resources. There's still a lot of racism there. Confederate flags is all over the place. It's you know, white people are going to show their dominance. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see how you can control something that I don't understand how some powerless negropeans is going to control something and they never been in any type of position of power. But let me finish the rest of this. But this was deep.
Underfunded schools, and feeling like you stepped into a time machine that only goes backward, Mississippi might not be the move. Let's start with the obvious. Mississippi is historically the most racially segregated state in America. And while it's been a minute since Jim Crow was officially on the books, the vibes are still very much alive.
He said the most racially state in America, the most racially state wow. But you got Negroes talking about, oh, let's go to Mississippi, Mississippi, we got to go there. We got to go. Pack your bag. Go. You go back to Mississippi. We got to control the farm and all this other stuff. Yeah, okay. All right, cool. I'll be there. I'll be there. He's already letting you know Mississippi is not the place. I tell black people, do not go to Mississippi. Do not go there. There's nothing there for you.
The state is still deeply divided along racial lines, from where people live to what kind of opportunities they have. Black communities here face higher poverty rates, lower wages, and fewer job prospects than almost anywhere else in the country. And let's talk about education, or what Mississippi calls education. The state ranks dead last in school funding and quality, which means if you might want to budget for some very expensive tutoring, or just move somewhere else entirely. Because let's be real, Mississippi's public schools have been failing black children for generations, and the government seems just fine keeping it that way.
Wow.
Oh, and if you thought things couldn't get worse, healthcare is also terrible. Mississippi has some of the worst health outcomes for black residents, with higher rates of diabetes, heart disease, and infant mortality. The hospitals, understaffed. The doctors, scarce. The access to decent medical care, about as rare as a pro-black Confederate monument. And let's not forget policing, because in Mississippi, the badge doesn't always come with the best intentions. Racial profiling, police brutality, and the highest percentage of reported hate crimes in the country make this a place where you really don't want to get pulled over. If you're black and driving through certain areas, you're rolling the dice on how that traffic stop is going to go. So unless you enjoy low wages, bad health,
that means you will never be seen again. They say that you will never be seen again. F.B.A.'s Foundation of Black America, how come you don't talk about this? Why are you running away? Why are you always trying to make it seem that America is so wonderful and so beautiful and it's so perfect that y'all don't talk about the truth? Y'all don't talk about the truth. You run away from the truth. They say you go to certain places in Mississippi, and if you get stopped, you might not be seen again. And this is 2025. This is not 1960s. 1950s. They still live in this. These white folks are still living this. So it doesn't matter how American you think you are. You can't go to these states. You can't say, even if you walk around with your American flag, walk around with the American flag on your shirt, these white people will still look at you as the enemy. And you can go there and you could be nice, you could be sweet, you could try to act like you're patriotic. You could wear your American hats and your t-shirts and your flag. And you will still, it doesn't matter if you fought for this country. Doesn't matter if you participate in their holidays and it's like St. Patrick Day or I'm sorry, and when I say their holidays, I'm talking about as far as like July 4th, Christopher Columbus. Yeah, they got white holidays too, only for them. St. Patrick's Day. They got white holidays only for them. So it doesn't matter. You could be pro-American all you want. These people don't want you around them. Even Abraham Lincoln even told black people, your presence burden us. Your presence burden us. These white folks, they don't mind taking your money. They don't mind taking your money. But they take your money, they go back to their people. Yo, they look at this black, this coon, this black, you know what? He really think I like him. But he's making me rich. Or she's making me rich. And you walking around happy and you thinking everything is all good. But they laughing behind your back. But they still tell you, I don't want you in my neighborhood. I don't want your son with my daughter or my son with your daughter. They'll let you know. So F.B.A.s, what happened? Why you don't talk about it? Anthony said that Tariq Nasheed, mother-in-law, might get offended. That's why he don't talk about it. Of course. He's being controlled. Keep talking about this white supremacy stuff. But then you claim an F.B.A. Foundation of Black America. Okay. But that come off as an attack to other black people who actually contribute. Let's keep it 100. You have other black people like the Haitians and people from the black folks from the islands that also contribute to the black culture. That also contribute to the struggle. I don't understand that. I don't understand why I don't get it. What's his name? Give me 1 second. So I don't understand. It's just crazy. Now, people talk about Stockley Carmichael, right? Great man, great brother. But the F.B.A.s don't know that Stockley Carmichael is Trinidad. Stockley Carmichael is Trinidadian. They don't know that. Stockley Carmichael was Trinidadian. He was born in Trinidad. So you have a lot of black people that wasn't born in the United States, but they also contribute to the struggle. What was that? What was the other lady's name? She's from Barbados. What's her name? Her name is Chisel. Something Chisel. Forgot her name. What's her name? Chisel. What's her name? I forgot her name. Let's see if I can print it up. Shirley Chisholm. That's her name. Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm. People need to know where she's from. She's from Shirley Chisholm. People need to look her up. And she's Barbarian. Her family's from Barbados. Shirley Chisholm. Her family's from Barbados. She's Barbadian. You have a lot of black people that Shirley Chisholm, Stockley Carmichael. You got a lot of black folks that came from the islands and they fought side by side with other black people who was born here. So the F.B.A.s don't address that. They don't address that. But this is the good old Mississippi, and they don't talk about it. They don't talk about the racism that goes on that still exists today. They don't talk about it. They run from it. Let's finish. What time I have now? Okay, I'm still hanging in there.
Healthcare, and having to double check which towns still feel a little too sundowny, Mississippi should be nowhere near your list of places to live. But hey, at least the food is good.
Always.
Just don't expect the opportunities to be as rich as the gumbo. And there you have it.
Let me
In school.
Let me play this again. I want to play this again. Let me see this. Let me play this again. Shit. Let me go back here. Let me see this.
Struggles. Redlining, still leaving its mark. Job discrimination, alive and well. Confederate flags? You'll see them flying proudly in places that should have taken them down decades ago. In fact, some areas of Alabama still feel like they're auditioning for a prequel to Mississippi Burning. If you're black and thinking, well, maybe I'll just move to a bigger city like Birmingham or Montgomery, sure, you might find more black culture there, but you're still dealing with the same state policies that make life harder for black folks.
Yep.
And let's not forget education and healthcare, which rank among the worst in the country because nothing says, welcome home. Like underfunded schools and hospitals that make you question every diagnosis. So unless you enjoy jumping through hoops just to vote, navigating racial tension like an obstacle course, and explaining why Confederate nostalgia is not a personality trait, Alabama might not be the move. But hey, at least the cornbread is amazing. Just don't expect the community to always be as warm as the biscuits. Number 1, Mississippi. If there's one state that just refuses to move on from the good old days, and by that, I mean the bad old days for black folks, it's Mississippi. If you're black and considering moving here, let me save you the trouble. Don't, unless you enjoy racial disparities, underfunded schools, and feeling like you stepped into a time machine that only goes backward. Mississippi might not be the move. Let's start with the obvious. Mississippi is historically the most racially segregated state in America. And while it's been a minute since Jim Crow was officially on the books, the vibes are still very much alive. The state is still deeply divided along racial lines, from where people live to what kind of opportunities they have. Black communities here face higher poverty rates, lower wages, and fewer job prospects than almost anywhere else in the country. And let's talk about education, or what Mississippi calls education. The state ranks dead last in school funding and quality, which means if you have kids, you might want to budget for some very expensive tutoring, or just move somewhere else entirely. Because let's be real, Mississippi's public schools have been failing black children for generations, and the government seems just fine keeping it that way. Oh, and if you thought things couldn't get worse, healthcare is also terrible. Mississippi has some of the worst health outcomes for black residents, with higher rates of diabetes, heart disease, and infant mortality. The hospitals? Understaffed. The doctors? Scarce. The access to decent medical care? About as rare as a pro-black Confederate monument. And let's not forget policing, because in Mississippi, the badge doesn't always come with the best intentions. Racial profiling, police brutality, and the highest percentage of reported hate crimes in the country make this a place where you really don't want to get pulled over. If you're black and driving through certain areas, you're rolling the dice on how that traffic stop is going to go. So unless you enjoy low wages, bad health care, and having to double check which towns still feel a little too sundowny, Mississippi should be nowhere near your list of places to live.
Ain't on my list.
But hey, at least the food is good. Just don't expect the opportunities to be as rich as the gumbo. And there you have it. The 10 states black people should avoid moving to. Now, I know some folks might...
Well, I just want to play that. And I hope you learn from this. But the F.B.A.s, they will never address it. So don't listen to these F.B.A.s and they try to make it seem like United States is this best country of the world and for black people, and that's all they do is down Africa and talk about the black immigrants. Ask them about the 10 racist states. Ask them why they can't go to those states. How come they don't want to live in those states? How come they're not fixing up the problems that black folks are going through? What are they doing to make black people's lives easier instead of just getting on YouTube running off their mouth? But the best one, I like the best one, the guy saved the best for last about this Mississippi nonsense, because about the state of Mississippi, because you got black folks, this F.B.A. nonsense, these crabs that they try to give you this pipe dream like Mississippi could be the utopia for black folks. And if we go over there and we take it over, then things will be. Let me tell you something. The mindset of Negroes today is destructive. I was talking to my brother Underrated today. I said, if black people don't have, if there's no consequences, if there's no structure, if there's no discipline, no obedience, then black people would just even if it was possible, if black people control a state like Mississippi, it would turn into another ghetto. It would still be a hostile environment. It would still be a hostile environment, maybe even worse. Maybe even worse. Because black people took on that Neanderthal barbaric behavior, that animalistic, sick behavior. I was talking to my brother today, and I said, black folks, anything goes with us. Anything goes. I was watching The Wire, the show The Wire. I will never watch it again because it was very disturbing to me. It was very disturbing to me where you have black kids and the way they kill each other. You had cats killing each other like it ain't nothing. And it got to the point where we don't care. We sell, black people didn't care. They sell drugs to the black women, to the children. They didn't care how the kids was be fed. They did not care. Those black drugs that didn't care. It was all about money, cars, and getting laid. That's all it was. Money, cars, jury, and getting laid. That's all it was about. This guy named, what's his name? Omar. And the way he gets killed in the show, he got killed by a little kid. The little kid rolled up on him and shot him with a gun. Why is our babies walking around with guns? I was watching this other movie called, it was called, I forgot the name of that movie. It was called, what was that name of that movie? Strap. That's what it was. Good movie. I'm not going to lie. Strap came out in the 90s. But Frederick Starr was a gun seller. And he was getting his guns from the white man. A young boy came. He was saying that he was being bullied. And he said, I needed a gun. And Frederick Starr, well, that wasn't, he didn't, that's not his name. But the character that Frederick Starr played, he sold the gun to a little kid. We're the only race of people that would do that. No other race of people would do that. That's how low that we look at each other like we ain't nothing. And this is how white people going to treat you. So they're not going to give you a proper health care. They're not going to give you the proper health care. They're not going to treat you like you deserve to be treated. You keep black people, these F.B.A. Negroes, they call each other the N-word and to the sun up to sundown. Disrespect one another, and you expect the world going to respect you? I wouldn't respect you either. I won't respect you either. When you look at the Italians and you look at the Asians or whatever, they don't have that type of nonsense in their neighborhood. They don't have that type of, you couldn't find an Asian man selling drugs to his Asian woman, and you see the Asian babies crying on the streets. They selling guns to the Asian kids. And the Italians, they doing the same thing. You will never see that, because once they find out somebody's doing it, they're going to deal with that person. That is the code. They follow principle and they follow code. Not black folks or not Negroes. Anything goes. And then they get mad at you when you say, hey, I'm not about that. I'm not about that. Here come the mockery. Here come the threaten. Here come, or you think you better than me. And all this, here come all this nonsense. Yes, I am better than you. I don't want you in my neighborhood. I'm not going to live among you. You are considered a reject. You are the white man's product. So why the F.B.A.s? They the one who's pushing this. They the one who's pushing this self-hate. And then they try to give you this fake narrative, or they try to give you this pipe dream. They try to give you this pipe dream that America is so great and wonderful. Oh, you don't want to go to Africa. Africa is bad. It's evil over there. The people are mean over there. Have you been to Africa? No. So what are you talking about? No, but I know black people are mean over here. I know that. I know black people are nasty and disgusting over here. I know that. Can't even get a little disagreement. They want to fight. That's why I cut these losers off on YouTube. These so-called conscious Negroes. They're not conscious. They just as dumb just when I met them. They're just regurgitating everything that I've been saying. But I love it when the guy said, hey, if you're thinking about coming to Mississippi, don't come. It's not for you. But then you got those they will keep pushing. Oh, the Mississippi campaign and we push this Mississippi campaign and we can have power and all this other nonsense. Yeah. Okay. But that person don't want to go. That person never went to Mississippi. When you gonna go to Mississippi? Oh, I don't have to go. I don't have to go nowhere. I don't have to go nowhere. That's the problem. That's what we up against right now. All this F.B.A. propaganda that they pushing. We got to stop that. It's sickening. But I'm just here to put out the truth. I'm putting out the facts. I'm putting out the facts. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just putting out the facts. I know the truth hurts. I know the truth hurts. I know the truth hurts. But don't fall into this moving down south and moving all the way up north. You know what I'm saying? If you plan on moving, do your research. Don't just jump up and move because to these places and that you don't know nothing about. And that's the problem with black folks. They just that's why they can't move to North Dakota. They can't move to these northern states or whatever. Because like the guy said, he said some of these states are 90%, almost 90%, only maybe 4% of black people there. He said, you'll stick out. You'll be a target. That's scary, man. These FBAs that's talking this stuff, this FBA stuff, how great America is, they are in a diverse place. They are in a diverse place, and they're most likely they're very isolated. And the only thing they can do is they just go to work, come home, getting on YouTube, talk their rhetoric, go to work, come home. It's a routine. They don't go nowhere. They don't go nowhere. I wouldn't want to live in a state where there's 90% of black, 90% white people there. I couldn't live there. I don't care how nice it is up there. I couldn't live there. I couldn't live there. That's not, to me, that's not, at some point, you're going to be like, damn, I want to be around my people. I want to be around my people. I was watching this movie called, what was that movie? Get Out. I was watching this movie called Get Out, and you see the brother, he walks up to another brother, but he didn't know the brother, the white guy took over this black man's body. And the first thing he said was, "It's good to see another black person here," or something around that area. I'm just paraphrasing. He said, "Man, it's good to see another black person because he was surrounded by all these white folks that he didn't have nothing in common with." He didn't have nothing in common with. So I don't know what these FBAs, when they come off and, oh, America is so great and wonderful and don't go to Africa. You mean to tell me I don't want to go to a place where I can see my people? Yes, the culture going to be different. Yes, the subculture going to be different. But at some point, you're going to adapt to the culture. So I'm going to reject black people that's in another continent. I'm supposed to reject them. And when I'm around them, I feel more home than if I go to an all-white state. Does that make any damn sense? Does that make any sense, FBAs? So I'm going to neglect my people from the islands. I'm going to neglect my people from Mother Africa just to live, but just to go to an all-white state, just to feel that I'm an American. That doesn't make no sense. That doesn't make no sense. But the FBAs, they can't explain this. They will never explain this. They will never explain this. These pretendians, these pro-black Americans, whatever they want to call themselves, because it's obvious they don't have a name that will stick. They really don't. They don't have a name to stick. What a shame. What a shame. Right now we are at 8:24 p.m. This was a great live. I didn't want to, I'm not trying to make this too long, but I just want people to wake up, man. Don't fall into the pipe dream propaganda. Do not fall for it. Do not fall for it. Do not fall for it. You hear people say, oh, let's do your research first, man. Do your research first before if you plan on moving or traveling or whatever, do your research. Because you jump into these states, and you thinking that these states is going to, these people going to accept you because you an American, is bogus. That's not going to happen. Even the guy said, he said, Alabama, he said people in Alabama still carry their Confederate flag. They're not letting that go. They're not letting that go, even though the South, so they both say the South supposedly lost against the North. But they're not letting that go. That's part of they claim that's part of their heritage. The Confederate flag is part of their heritage. It's supposed to be a rebel flag. It's a rebellion flag. That's what, excuse me. It was supposed to be a it's supposed to be a rebellion flag. So we have to understand that these white folks, they're not changing because they hear these silly F.B.A.s how proud they're American they are. They don't care. You could watch all the, like, you got the Black Captain America now with the Falcon, whatever his name is. It doesn't matter. You could wear the star. You could wear you could be like Apollo Creed. You could do all this American stuff. You will still be underclass. You will still be invisible to them. They appreciate, these white people will be happy because you'll support their supremacy. You're supporting it. That's what it is. So you could wear your American flag all you want. You could wear your American flag all you want. You could wear it on your shirt. You could carry it. It doesn't matter. You will never be an American. You will never be an American. And it doesn't matter how much. It doesn't matter how much you dress up and how much you know how many times you go and go to their little white parties and celebrate 4th of July. It doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter. But these F.B.A.s, they run away from this, and I want to know why they don't talk about what's going on in these other states that the guy mentioned. What are you doing to make it better? Because they have no answer. They have no answer. They want to give you this illusion, and basically they playing into white folks' hands anyway, because that's what white people want people to think. They want the world to think that America is so great and wonderful, which is not. Which is not. So with that said, I'm going to end this live. I'm going to end this live. And this is best viewers on Salute.com. So I'm going to end this live. I hope everybody learned something. And like I said before, don't listen to the pipe dream propaganda. Do your research. Get your information before you start to follow other people in their rhetoric. Because these F.B.A. clowns, they confuse themselves. They don't even know. They don't even know what to call themselves. 1 minute they're F.B.A. 1 minute they're indigenous. 1 minute they're Aboriginal. I mean, they don't even know what they call themselves no more. So with that said, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until next time, I will be doing another live next weekend. So stay tuned to that. Okay, please subscribe, and hit the like button. Hit the like button and share. Not copy, but share it. Share the link. All right. Peace and one love.